I hope you know that all of space for the last 50 or 60 years has been driven by geopolitical interests, and that's very well documented in lots and lots and lots of books. Dr. John Logsdon at George Washington University has a particularly compelling series about various presidents, Kennedy, but lots of other presidents, and their role in the space race. And certainly that was kicked off by Sputnik, and geopolitics has always been a part of the American spaceflight program. And that doesn't stop just because we got to the moon. That certainly didn't stop when we created the International Space Station. It expanded because we created the International Space Station. So this historic model for human spaceflight is really important to understand, and I really recommend that there's lots of other readings about this. I really love that we're talking about public-private partnerships on the moon. Now, NASA has created a list of 9 partners for the CLPS program, the Commercial Lunar Payload Services program. But it doesn't stop there with those 9. There's lots and lots of other companies that are subordinate to those 9 that are either subcontractors or clients. I think that's the important part, clients of those 9, not counting the other 3 planned Artemis missions that are out there. So this multinational effort with other national partners coming along with us, and their own missions, together becomes this great big, as the Europeans call it, a moon village, and I really like that idea. And then when we start talking about the commercial sector a little bit more deeply, commercial delivery of cargo to the moon, obviously that's going to be an important element to all this. And it's not just a delivery service from the Earth to the moon. It's also the development of technology that then moves out into the rest of the world that is a result, a spin-off result of the work of going to the moon. So as we bring power and communications to the lunar surface, there are going to be spin-offs for everybody like me stuck down here in Earth's gravity well. So the value of going there is not just the symbolic power of getting to the moon, it's also the tangible results of being down here and getting the science and technology capabilities and advancements that the effort took. I know that the long-term focus of this policy is to get to Mars and other deep space destinations. This document's pretty vague about deep space destinations. I think there's probably some investigation that's worth looking into on that. It's very clear that Mars is not the next destination, but the one after. So the moon is first and Mars is next. And this line here that talks about nuclear power sources, that is a game changer. That is a game changer. If we have nuclear power sources in space, everything changes. Missions to the moon change, missions to Mars change, missions beyond out into the deeper solar system change. So that, when I saw that line in this document, my heartbeat actually started speeding up a little. I was pretty excited about that piece. Of course, robotics. Of course, talking about extraction and finding local resources, both on the moon and Mars. That has to be a part of it. But this nuclear power source, that's new, and that is really significant. I said earlier, talking about securing U.S. interests. this line about understanding the criticality of space activities to life of the nation. We talk internally on our LiftPort team about space literacy, that there's math literacy, there's technology literacy, there's reading literacy, and then there's this idea that people really need to understand how space impacts their absolutely everyday daily life. And I don't feel like most people do. I believe that most of the people watching this video and this channel, subscribers, they probably do understand this stuff. But the general population probably doesn't understand how deeply space technology is woven into their daily lives. And we call that space literacy. And the idea that this document, this national policy, is addressing the fact that most people don't have that level of space literacy. I think that's an interesting, and I hope that there are changes that are spawned because of this line here. We talked earlier about values, about U.S. values. It's not just about machines and astronauts, but it's about values. This idea of values keeps coming up in this document, and I actually did a word search on it, and there's 9 times that values are mentioned in this document. That's pretty cool to me. I like that. I like that this isn't about just machines and astronauts, but it's about who we are as Americans, but also as a global species, that we're curious, that we're interested, that we want to go and push beyond our perceived boundaries. I like that. So I like that this has a lot of conversations about values. And I also like this line about the courage to go and the conviction to stay. My grandfather a long time ago told me a story about how the settlers moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. And my family's been in Washington for about 100 years. And he made a smart-ass joke about how the cowards never started and the weak didn't make it. And when I start thinking about going to the moon and Mars, the courage to go and the conviction to stay, I think about my grandfather actually and his lines. So I got a chuckle when I read this. This line is, I think, very important. Cannot and will not cede its role as leader of spacefaring nations. I could do an entire video about that line by itself. It is powerful, this line, and I think that if we take it seriously, then I think this line by itself could change budgets. It could change expectations from our various space programs within the United States, NASA, but there are several other space programs within the United States. And I also feel like this might be seen as a challenge from other nations and other cultures. I was at a ISU event online, digitally, of course. I was at an online ISU event this last weekend, and there were 2 different conversations about an ESA-like program, a European Space Agency-like program, but where a union of African nations worked together. And at a different meeting, at a different time this weekend, there was a conversation about a union of Latin American and Central American nations working together as a union like the European Space Agency. So I feel like this is a great line for America to kind of like state its case. But I also feel like, and I'm even hopeful, that other nations or unions of nations will see this as a challenge and work together to push humanity out further into space.